Alright, Logic fans, welcome to our third and final video on section 4.6. So this is video 4.6c. And what I wanted to cover here was the empty domain, alright, and how the existential quantifier behaves with respect to the empty domain. Now, the empty domain is fun, and we introduced it first in section 4.4, and it can give some counterintuitive results, as we noted there. It might be a little bit more straightforward on the existential quantifier than the universal, so hopefully this will make a little bit of sense to you. Let's see here. I want to reiterate something I did say in 4.4, which is that when we come to quantificational syntax in chapter 6, we're going to exclude the empty domain from consideration. It's sort of not, we're just going to say that's not a possibility, or we're ruling that out as a possibility, assume it's not true. But for now, it is something that we can play with, and it can be a lot of fun. And I do think it reveals something cool about, the nature of the existential quantifier and how you're supposed to be thinking about it. So let's go ahead and some examples here really quickly. Let's just look at some examples. So here's some sentences that involve the existential quantifier, okay? And we're going to be assuming the empty domain. And the question is on the empty domain, are these sentences true or false? So pause now, try them out. After we do a couple together, you can pause again and try to work out the rest yourself. And there's plenty of exercises in the text, okay, along with the solutions. So make sure you're checking that out for practice. But pause now and try these, and we'll come back and do them together. Okay, hopefully you've had a chance to try these. This is a lot of fun, and like I said, I think that this reveals something about the nature of the existential quantifier and how you're supposed to be understanding it or interpreting it. So this says, let's suppose that Fy, I should have specified this, but you can always pause again. That's just, is red or something. So this says there exists at least one red thing. There exists at least one red thing, or in the domain, at least one thing satisfies this description. It is red. Now, is it true in the empty domain that at least one thing satisfies this description? And the answer is no, right? That's false, right? So notice this. Just be very sort of blunt about it and try not to overthink it too much, right? Nothing exists. Someone comes along and says, heuristically, okay, there exists at least one thing that's red. Like, no, if nothing exists, that's got to be false, right? If nothing exists, it can't be the case that there exists at least one thing satisfying any description. So any existentially quantified sentence, right? This is an existentially quantified sentence. This is an existentially quantified sentence, is going to be false on the empty domain. Now, this is not an existentially quantified sentence, so we're going to have to be a little bit more careful there, okay? But this is an existentially quantified sentence, and this says at least one thing, there exists at least one thing in the domain that satisfies this description, and just there doesn't, right? That's just false, okay? Now, this here, right, if you notice, is the negation of this one, and we notice that this one was false, so this is going to be true. But let's also think about what this sentence says, all right? This sentence says nothing is F. It's not the case that at least one thing satisfies this description. And on the empty domain, that's true, right? Nothing is F, right? If nothing exists, so this statement is absolutely true given the empty domain, okay? So we can't actually reason logically about, a situation in which we're assuming nothing exists, okay? So this is kind of a fun little exercise to get clear about. And, we're assuming bivalent logic, right? So notice that sentence D here is the negation of this sentence. So this sentence was false, so this sentence is going to be true, right? Another way you can think about this says nothing satisfies this description. It's not red. And that's true. Nothing does satisfy that description if nothing exists, if we're talking about the empty domain, right? So that's absolutely true. Now, let's take a look at this one. At least one thing satisfies this description. No, it doesn't. Not if nothing exists, then nothing satisfies it. So that sentence is false, right? That sentence is absolutely false on the empty domain, right? This is the negation of E, so unsurprisingly, it's going to be true on that domain, right? This says nothing satisfies this description, and that's absolutely true on the empty domain, right? Nothing satisfies any description on the empty domain. So nothing's going to satisfy this particular description. All right. So short and sweet for this video, but that does reveal some you have to take the existence claim very seriously and literally. There exists at least one thing in the domain that's this way. Is that true or false on the empty domain? Okay. So we'll see you on the next video.